Hey guys, welcome to today's FindTheBestCarPrice.com video. We got a special treat for you. I don't know that you're going to find the best car price on a 2014 Ferrari 458 Spider, but that's what we're going to look at today anyway. Thanks to Carrie, who's on the camera actually, or really his coworker Christy, whose truck we did a while back, the Ram 1500 with the Halloween wrap. We're doing this 2014 Ferrari 458 Spider. We'll deal with putting the top down later on, but it's very interesting to step back 7 years from the time we're making this video on November 20th, I think, 21st of 2021. So it is a 7-year-old car, and it's very interesting to see the technology that this car doesn't necessarily have compared to the newer cars. It's not a bad thing. It's actually very interesting, but to also see what the supercars were like at that point in time. So I want to start off with one of the most obvious things, and that would be the key. It actually is a key. It's not really a typical just remote. You actually insert it into the ignition. There are a couple of buttons on here, as you can see, but it's kind of an old school key of sorts, and so you stick this in, turn on the ignition. Now there is a push button start, so kind of have a little bit of a combination as far as all of that goes. But what's very interesting here, let's just open the interior here real quick, and we'll let Carrie come in and show you a little bit of what's here before we start actually showing off a little bit more of the exterior of the car. But it's very comfortable inside there actually, and while the seats are nicely bolstered, it's not too much. Somebody who's actually as tall as 6'6" could fit in this car and drive it comfortably. That's not something you always get. Sometimes I'll get people asking me in my videos, can I fit in the car? I'm really tall. I'm 6'5" or 6'6" or something along those lines. And so essentially there's the question answered early in the video. Okay. One of the big knocks a lot of the time on supercars is cargo space. And of course, we'll just take a quick look here at the front end. You've got the LED headlights. We'll turn those on for you and get a shot at a different point, but I can lay that in as B-roll footage. Of course, you can have that classic Ferrari logo right there. And I don't know how easily Carrie can get down and show you, but right down here, you've got some vents here basically. This is really kind of the grill right here. What's interesting is that's not plastic. So at least in 2014, that was not plastic. It was actually some steel right there. And so here is the frunk, and it might not look like a ton of space, but that's actually 8.1 cubic feet. And there's really a little bit of additional space in this Ferrari for cargo space compared to some of the other mid-engine vehicles that I've reviewed over the past few years here on the Vehicle Visionary YouTube channel. And of course, unlike the Tesla, I'm not going to hop into the trunk, but you do have the release right here in case somebody gets trapped inside the trunk, I guess, or the frunk, I should say. Let's not get that wrong, because I'll get nailed by the correction Nazis in the comments section. But I have to admit, this car is so sleek. It just has the overall look of performance, of speed, everything you would expect. Just ultra sleek lines all the way from the front to the rear. And what's interesting about this particular model is there was actually weight saved for this model compared to the previous generation. This model was lighter than the soft top version of the previous generation prior to 2014. And you can hear the train in the background. If you're a fan of the TV show In the Heat of the Night, it sounds like we're in Sparta, Mississippi right now, but we're not. We're in Shreveport, Louisiana, and here is the 4.5 liter or roughly 274 cubic inch V8. It puts out 562 horsepower, 398 pound-feet of torque, mated to a 7-speed dual clutch transmission. And here are some interesting stats on this car. 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds. It has a 25.1 gallon tank for gas. And according to Ferrari, the combined total of all the MPGs is 19 miles per gallon, and supposedly you can drive 499 miles on one tank of gas with this car. If I took it on a trip, I don't quite think that would happen. I don't know if I can pull it off, but I'm going to try. I've never done this before. Put a timer on the screen for putting the top down. It's supposed to go down in 14 seconds. Now, you can't do this while you're moving. You have to do it sitting still, but that sure seemed like it was a lot quicker than 14 seconds to me. I haven't edited this video yet, so I don't know for sure if I was able to get it down that fast, but that was pretty impressive by how quickly it went down. And that's one of the most impressive things about this car, like I said earlier, is the weight reduction between the 2013 and the 2014 model, or the previous generation to this generation, I should say, is the fact that this model is 155 pounds lighter than the soft top. You wouldn't think it would be that way, but yet Ferrari engineers pulled it off. So here's something very interesting about this Ferrari that I've never seen on another supercar before, and that is the fact that there are 3 different settings for seat memory. I don't know about you, but if I owned a Ferrari, I don't think 3 different people would be driving it. I don't think anyone more than myself would probably be driving it, but it is what it is. So let's talk about the steering wheel here, and I really like this. There are all sorts of different features here, different functionality of the car, and I apologize for that barking dog in the background, but it is what it is when you're shooting out in public like this. But you've got the different selections for driving modes that you can use. Some you would not want to use on the street because the car would be just entirely too aggressive. Of course, you've got your start button right there for the engine, but it's interesting because, like I said earlier, you've got this key right here. You insert that into the ignition, turn the ignition on, and then you can hit the button right here. So a little bit different from our modern day vehicles here in 2021 and 2022, but I think my favorite feature here is, well, it's a combination of a couple of things. Right here, you actually have an indicator that's kind of a shift light. I don't know what the Ferrari terminology is for that, but let me actually have Carrie show that. I'm going to just stick this in the ignition, and we'll do this right here, see if it'll come on. I don't know if it's going to come on. There it goes. It actually blinked just a little bit. I got some shots of that earlier to show you, but I really like that. And I love the fact that these paddle shifters stay in place when you're driving. No matter where the steering wheel is, the shifter paddles are in the exact same place. So you don't have to hunt around for those depending on where your hands are on the steering wheel. If you're going through a corner real fast and you've had to change position, you don't have to worry about, uh-oh, what shifter paddle am I hitting? Am I gearing up or gearing down? And I know a lot of people would probably say a great driver wouldn't have to do that. Maybe that's true, but I still like the steering column mounted paddle shifters. Now, I did talk about how there's not a center screen here in the center of the dashboard like you would have an infotainment screen, but let's go ahead and turn the ignition on here. I'm going to fire the car up real quick just so you can see what the dashboard looks like and what it sounds like from the interior. But there are some features and functionality here that you can go through on the dashboard, as you can see, but pretty simplistic for the most part. And I really have to say I like that, because if you're going to go out and just have a real track focused car like this, you really don't want too much, but at the same time it still has some great technology, especially for the 2014 model year. And again, I kind of talked about this earlier, but I really like the overall design here, but these seats are very comfortable. There's enough bolstering here to keep you in place, or your passenger in place, when driving spiritedly. And let's face the facts here, the driver has an easier time staying in place than the passenger does, because every car is faster from the passenger seat, right, Carrie? So you've also got, of course, the classic Ferrari logo right there, and just a real simple interior. This being the 2014 model, if you're looking for something that's maybe a little bit less complicated than some, well, this is one to consider. And something else, I'm glad Carrie moved the seat forward right there. You do have a little bit of extra space back here behind these seats, probably more than I've seen in any other car like this, any supercar, mid-engine car that I've reviewed so far. But here's the thing, for those of you who don't like modern day technology, there's not a lot here. You don't have a center screen right here, none of that kind of stuff, just a few controls here for a little bit of different things to do with the air conditioning and all that kind of stuff. You do have one cup holder right here. Well, it looks like there are two actually. One's just a little bit deeper than the other. And then here is your shifter. So that's pretty easy to figure out. Not a lot to deal with right there. Hazard light button. This is how you're going to lower the top right. It's right here. These two are for the windows right here. That's for your top right there, which we did earlier. Very simple, very easy to use. And that's a tour of the 2014 version of the Ferrari 458 Spider. Hope you enjoyed it, guys. Make sure to check out our website to find the best deal and all the different tools that we offer on the findthebestcarprice.com website. Thanks for taking the time to watch. We'll see you in the next video.